a fire and ice video for you. You know how much I love this one, but I've done it with a little bit of silver and gold this time, so it gives it a really different look, okay? The base of the card has been made with the Bed of Roses embossing folder to give it some texture. And then the dies that we'll be using in today's video are the Canadian Collection Toronto, the Vancouver from the Canadian Collection as well. I'm going to use as a little bit of a finishing touch here the Trailing Ivy. And I'm going to use the center out of the Montreal from the Canadian Collection too. The sentiment is the thanks from the Delightful Sentiments, but if you'll notice, the actual sentiment says many thanks, and I've just stamped that part of it just to show you can. Let me set these behind me and we'll get started. So I think first thing I'll show you is I've taken a bit of our vintage silver card and I'm going to use the decorative cutting piece from the Vancouver die. So I'm just going to pop this into place with a little bit of tape to hold it. And we'll run this through and give it a quick cut. There we go, get on there. Now this will give you some real pretty decorative design in your card, but I'm not actually cutting it out of the card because I haven't used an outside cutting edge. In fact, let me do a little bit more there, and I'm going to change the orientation on that and run it through just to catch that last little corner. These junior plates are perfect for that. You can just turn them. Okay, so next, let me just take my tape off very gently and release this side. And I think what I'll do first is use my tooling one here to knock out some of these bits. And that just saves a little bit of time. There we go. You can see how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely love that. Now let me put this back into place and clean up some of my little bits and we'll move on from there. There we go. Clean up my work area a little bit more. Now, the next step is to cover the front of this with a self-adhesive sticky sheet and cut it to size. So I have one I've prepared ahead of time here. A little bit of tape. And this is actually the reverse side. I've put the sticky sheet on the front here. And all of that exposed area now is sticky from that sheet from the front side. So that is what we're going to do our gilding with. So I'm going to be using the Sunlight Speckle here, and let me just pop a little piece of paper under there to kind of keep it a little neater. And I'm just going to drizzle a few flakes around here. Get a hold of those. Got some real pretty golds and a little bit of reds and some tiny bit of silver in there too. It's really nice. And I'm using a piece of Rub It Scrub It pad to work that into the adhesive there. Really nice and easy. Just give it a nice little refine. Take all that extra bit off of there. Okay. Let me tip this back in. And because the pieces are really fine, you get a lot of flyaway air of the gilding flakes. So they are a tiny bit messy, but they're beautiful, so they're worth it. Okay, now let me just use this brush and kind of move them off to the side here. There we go. Now, what you need to do next is remove the top piece of this. Sometimes you'll end up with a little bit of the gilding flake that ends up on the edge of the sticky sheet. So it's nice at this point to trim it again, but I've actually trimmed it to size, so I'm just going to hope we can go for this and not pick up a lot of the gilding flakes. But if you notice the edge has gotten messy on your piece, then that's what I recommend. So peel this up gently. Let me just get under it and get it started. There we go. And so you can see all that beautiful gold gilding flake coming through there. I think we've done that. The next step is to use the ice from the Fire and Ice, and this is our Ice Snow Glitter Jewels. These are Cosmic Shimmer, and they are just lovely. Now I am going to cover that. I've got a little flake that's gone onto my sticky sheet, but it's going to be covered, so I'm not going to worry about it. Just sprinkle these around. And if you really want to save a few of these, you can even put a piece of like copy paper in the center there if you know you're going to cover that. Just as a little tip and hint for you, especially if you have a larger area to cover. It does save your glitter jewels a bit. So burnish them in, and you can take a bit of these off just by rubbing a few times and burnishing them, and they can tap them off. I think that looks beautiful. So I'm going to keep it like that, and let's just clean up and pour these back into our container. There we go. Set that aside. Right. So now you can see I've got a really pretty, what I call the fire and ice. You've got the fire from the gilding flakes and the ice from the ice snow. It's so pretty. So I'm just going to adhere the back with some double-sided tape around the edge and put it onto a white mat. Like that. One more this way. That. And I think I'll put one right in the center just to make sure that holds well. Pop that inside of the white mat, and let me just try and lean into that, make sure I'm nice and straight. That looks good. Now I went ahead and did the embossing, so I've used the bed of roses on the background here. I've added some of our silver and raw silk colored satin ribbon on there, and I like just having it kind of come out from where I'm going to put my flowers at the end, so I've got a little bit of a diagonal going there. Some mounting foam on the back. So we will go ahead and seat this in the middle and then show you what we're going to do with our sentiment. So pretty. Just love the way that looks. Okay, so I've stamped the sentiment, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out using the small oval out of the Montreal. Just put that around the edge there, and a little bit of tape. Let me center that. That looks good, and I think I'll just put one more on the top there. Okay. This will run through and cut very quickly. Okay. Now one of the things you can do, you can obviously ink through these dies, but people don't always think about other items that you can do to get like a nice frame around your sentiments. I have a clear perfect medium pin here, and what I'm going to do is just run that around the lip of that die, and it puts a bit of embossing ink right there. So it's nice and round. And then I've got some of our Cosmic Shimmer Enchanted Gold mica powder, a little light brush, and we're just going to add a tiny little frame around our sentiment there. There we go. And it'll just pick up that beautiful, perfect medium. So I've stamped the sentiment in the silver, but I've done the mica powder in the gold, so it picks up all those tones from the gilding flakes. You can see. And this mica is just lovely. It's actually got a little bit of a silver undertone to it, even though it is a gold. So you can see how pretty that is. And I've prepared ahead of time a base for it. And this has actually been cut with one of the other dies that makes a lovely matte to it. So pop that into place. Just lean right over that. And let me bring my base back. Remember, as I always tell you, I've got all those glitter things there, so you want to add a little bit of glue onto your mounting foam. The Cosmic Shimmer glue is absolutely perfect for this. And make sure I'll seat that right into the center of that. We'll give that a few minutes to set up and get nice and firm, and we'll work down to our floral elements. Now I have some tulle here, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in place with a sticky adhesive dot, and that's going to work the base of this. And I've also gone ahead and made a couple flowers out of our satin ribbon pack. This is our silver and this is our raw silk. Now I have done this technique on another video. In fact, it was the first video I ever aired to YouTube, and it's called Silver Ribbon Flowers. And we'll put a link on the video to show you where to go to see the actual technique to make these, but aren't they lovely? Just really, really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and add those on next, and using a couple of glue dots. We'll pop them into place, and I'm just going to put one of them at the top here and then one of them below it, kind of offset like that. and adding just a couple of extra little embellishments. I've got a little bit of silver ribbon here, or not ribbon, thread that I'm just going to put on there just because it's such a pretty little accents to that. And I've cut the trailing ivies, and I wanted to go ahead and bring that same mica look into it. So I'm just going to use that perfect medium pin again and just kind of go over the veins, give it a quick little touch to each one of those and add a bit of silver to it. There we go. And the veins on these are debossed, so it just your nib will run right into that deboss area and keep it nice and straight. Tiny bit more, don't even need too much, and we'll dust those through. There we go. Just as a nice little feature. Yeah. There we go. It's so pretty. It really makes those veins show up nice. You can see how pretty that is. And let's just add those with a tiny bit of Cosmic Shimmer glue. That'll hold them nicely. I'm going to have one coming up this way from underneath my flowers, and the other one kind of down below it. There we go. Pop that underneath. Just give that a second to kind of set up. You can form them wherever you want. Even bending the leaves a little bit gives them some movement, which is kind of pretty too. And if you want to add it so it's nice and secure, you can even put a little dot of glue under one of the leaves. But there you go. Isn't that pretty? And I just think that's absolutely lovely together. And the silver and the gold looks so unique and rich, so pretty. What do you think? But do check out that silver ribbon flower because it is a lovely technique too. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you'll join us again soon back here. And if not, we have the Party Craft blog daily. I have a new card for you. You can see that whenever you like.